Hello everyone, Mohr here, and welcome to a new Top 10 list. As some of you know, Dr. Seuss's Horton Hears a Who is my favorite movie. It's filled with great animation, great characters, good story, and it's not only one of the best Seuss adaptations, but it's also my favorite anime movie and my favorite movie from Blue Sky Studios. And so, with this year being the film's 10th anniversary, I'd like to celebrate my recent viewing of it by going over a top 10 list of moments from this film. I've done a review of the movie years ago, but now I want to do more of it. There are certainly a whole lot more to go over, but the ones I choose are what I love the most. And now it's time to look at the reasons why I love this movie and why it's my favorite. With that said, let's go on to doing a top 10 list of my top 10 favorite Horton moments. Number 10. Horton the Anime. The movie does have some crazy moments whenever possible, and sometimes creepily crazy. But this one is the most out there for all it offers. It happens when Horton begins his journey to Mount Newell to place the speck on a flower at the top. And at the start of his trek, he imagines himself as an anime character, attacking anything coming to harm the clover on his quest. And the entire scene is comprised of anime references, from the exaggerated expressions, to the over-the-top action, and to the acting that's kind of silly. This is actually the second time the film did a 2D style for Horton's imagination, with the first done in the Dr. Seuss art style. But even though those couple of moments are fun to witness, this one had a lot more to it. It's more crazy, very exaggerated, and sometimes funny. And this is only the start of more fantastic things to come on this list. Number 9. The bridge scene. This is another comedic highlight of the film, but it's one I found funnier than the anime Horton which happened moments ago. And it does show some good back and forth between worlds. During Horton's attempt to make it to Mount Newell, he comes across a long bridge over a giant chasm, and he tries to walk across it without harming the clover, or speck, all while Ned is at the dentist trying to get his root canal fixed. And it's all a case of cause and effect going rather well. From a very funny joke about being as light as a feather, to the ending involving the use of the Blue Danube. It's a funny scene showing the side effects of living on something small where everything else is very big and could cause harm. Stuff like this is demonstrated earlier on in the film, but nothing like this. There's many visual gags, and each one gets a chuckle or laugh from me, and it's really one of the funniest bits in the movie. Number 8. All of the side characters. There are just so many of them, and each one is enjoyable in their own way. From all the animals in the jungle of Newell to all the Whos in Whoville, they all have likable personalities, great designs, and have great actors voicing them, such as Jonah Hill, Seth Rogen, Will Arnett, Isla Fisher, Selena Gomez, Dan Fogler, Jesse McCarthy, Bill Farmer, Laura Ortiz, Colleen Osaganesi, and the film's co-director Jimmy Hayward. It's really nice to see a whole variety of characters with unique personalities. Some are very funny, some are pretty wild, and some have great character. I did like having the Wickershams have the same look and color as the Chuck Jones special, and I like how Rudy, the sour kangaroo's son, has more involvement in the film. And the choice of having Vlad Vladikov as a vulture than an eagle is a great touch. The chairman and city council are like the stick in the mud who won't listen to reason but are still fun. Dr. LaRue is very good, with always having to take her glasses on and off at every dramatic point, and JoJo, despite having to speak at the very end, has a nice moment here and there. I could go on and on about every single character, but it would take another video to do so. So I'll finish by saying all the side characters in both the Jungle of Newell and Whoville are all a pleasure to watch. Number 7. Whoville. Blue Sky's take on the microscopic town is very much like the books it's featured in, as well as the animated Chuck Jones specials. The look of it all is very much like Seuss, right down to the vehicles they drive, the buildings the people work and live in, and the characters that inhabit the town. It looks all very colorful, very bright, and all the citizens have no problem whatsoever, because nothing ever goes wrong in Whoville, as the chairman council stated. And whenever something looks bad, everyone takes it and turns it into something positive, like when a huge bump from outside their world causes a condo to finish itself. And yet only the mayor finds it as something troubling. But of course everyone else takes it as a good thing. And there are many wacky things going on too, which might provide for lots of viewing, but most of them are easy to catch. So bottom line, old Whoville is full of wonder, and is surprisingly the best version there is. Number 6. Chasing Vlad Vladikov. When it comes to adapting a moment from the book to the screen, this scene is really spectacular in the overall execution. And I'm mostly talking about the scene of Horton chasing after Vlad for taking the clover. But in between, it cuts back to Whoville experiencing strong winds as Ned tries to prove that Whoville's in danger and that Horton exists. It's like the moment in the book, from Horton climbing a mountain to Vlad dropping a clover in a huge patch of clovers. Sure, it wouldn't feel like anything, but the pacing of it all, the lovely animation, and the music just building makes the entire scene very impressive. Though I was more getting into the bits with Horton and Vlad than with Whoville since the book never showed what's happening in Whoville, but it's a neat addition. And overall, it's a very well done scene, giving lots of epicness as it goes on. Number 5. Ned McDon. Out of all the characters that the film presents, the mayor of Whoville, Ned, is simply one of the best in the film. He's scared about his safety, and even for Whoville's safety. He wants his son to be the next mayor. He's very energetic and flexible. His design is better than from the book and the Chuck Jones special, and he's voiced by Steve Carell, who I have to admit is better in animation than in live action. Mostly because whenever Steve acts or screams, he always keeps an expressionless face every time, and I don't see it as anything funny. But his voice does stand out, and him voicing Ned is a great one. But of course, even with having 96 daughters and one son, the times when he gets hit looks like he'll never have any more kids again. Yet as funny as he gets with his many injuries and being a bit clumsy, he's still a very funny and enjoyable character. However, as great as he is, he doesn't quite compare to the next best thing. Number 4. Sally OMalley. Yeah, I can't have the husband without the wife, but to why I put her over Ned is for a few reasons. One is Amy Poehler voicing her. She gives Sally a sweet and loving tone, feeling very motherly as her character is a mother looking after 96 daughters and one son. But then there's also a kind passion that I really grabbed onto and admire, and Amy plays it very well. Second is her expressions. Yeah, most of them are just the worried and concerned look mainly for Ned, but most of the time, she looks very lovely and sweet, and whenever I see her looks, I get a lovely feeling for her. And third is her design. When I first saw her like this, it definitely stood out to me, with her orange colors and hairstyle. I always look forward to seeing her whenever the film gets back to Whoville, and for a film filled with so many great characters, I personally choose Sally among the rest, for her great looks and persona. Number 3. We Are Here. Like the Chasing Vlad scene, the ending to the film does go with how the book went, but of course with a couple of additions thrown in. But this one felt the most epic, and it's been discussed before on another list, but let's get more into it. This is one of the best endings or even climaxes I've ever seen, full of great animation, epic music, grand scale visuals, great use of color, wacky instruments, great use of choir, and so much more. And yes, it all concludes with JoJo shouting "Yop" like in the book. Though why that's his first word in the movie is beyond me, even when Chuck Jones's take has him talking before he shouts his word, but let's not get into it too much. And it's also nice how the clover almost got boiled, making for a well done last minute moment. But with all that's happening in this one scene, it all makes for one great and awesome moment. Number 2. The opening credits. This is a very interesting sequence for introducing the movie, as it really offers great insight to how the spec came to be. For while the credits are rolling, it shows a water drop knocking a seed from a tree off, and it rolls all the way down to a flower holding a speck. The seed hits the flower, which blows the speck off and out into the jungle. It doesn't seem like much, but the way it's handled is pretty amazing. The scale and proportion of everything, the way the music builds it all up, and it's all visually remarkable, almost realistic. All it does is show where the speck came from and provides as the basis for the rest of the movie. It's beautiful to look at, it's epically sound, and it's one of the best introductions to a film that got me excited for what's to come next. And ever since my first viewing of the movie and witnessing the opening credits, I knew I was going to love the film from the very start. And my number one favorite Horton moment is the entire score. Now this may not seem like much, but if you just listen to the music in the film, it's the most impressive I've ever heard in a while. It goes all out to present how grand it can be, how epic it can master, and how fun it is to witness. Composed by John Powell, who also worked on all of these, he brings an immense power to this film, making it far more memorable and enjoyable. The music goes big in every moment there is, whether being fun and silly or being operatic and epic. Of course there are times when it could go soft and sweet, but most of it does feel huge. From the opening credits to the climax and all around in between, the music to the movie is very massive and brimming with awesomeness. In fact, the score feels so great that I got the soundtrack to the film. And with every single thing that's great about this movie, there's no denying that for me, the score is my number one favorite Horton moment. And that is it. So thank you for joining me. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Facebook or Twitter, support me on Patreon, and until next time for a new video.